This video is sponsored by Aquashine Exteriors, professional jet washing and cleaning services across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, including Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. Are you feeling it's time to get that driveway nice and shiny for when you come home? Or are you wanting to get that guttering tidied up and spotless again? They deliver this, plus much, much more. Please head into the description below where you'll find their details for their website, including the socials, Facebook and Instagram. You also need to find their before and after portfolio. You can also call them on 07503 998 088 for a free quotation. Don't wait till next week. Don't think you'll do it another day. Pick up the phone, give them a call, check them out. Good evening and welcome to Cherries Red Army. Thanks for joining me, Kirk Tovey, and the rest of the team. We'll go around the room in just a moment, but thank you for subscribing to Cherries Red Army. If you've been with us since the start of this season, thank you very much. We've got a little way to go yet. We're going to look at the final day of the season, final week of the season, and we'll also have stuff post-season as well. Also hit the like button on this video, and of course that interactive chat is open. Get in there because we're going to just discuss the final day of the season, which Bournemouth will play a part in. We're also going to talk about Everton, Leeds and Leicester. We're going to also talk about Jeff Lerma. Now, there are a few announcements from the club today. You can go onto the website. They did announce some stuff about the season ticket increases. Jim Fravola's also done a video discussing how they're going to increase the revenue for the club next season. Let's go round the room, shall we? Aaron, I don't really want to touch on the season ticket prices because I think we'll spend all night doing that. But he did talk about the sort of 1910 being used for revenue with hospitality. What's your thoughts on that with regards to how the pre-match for the fans will look next season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a season ticket holder. I'm a loyalty points holder. So obviously I'm still waiting to see what our increases will be. But yeah, as far as the 1910 goes, it's a funny one because we tend to go there, you know, us lot tend to go there before games, whether it's just to have a drink or sometimes earlier to watch the 12:30 game, have some lunch, etc. So, you know, from that point of view, it's a nice, comfortable surroundings, etc. You know, comfy, and it's nice to have a chat with people. The other side of the coin, obviously, is that it holds less than 250 people. I was just saying off air before that someone told me something like, if you compare what the revenue would be from those 250 people compared to hospitality, it's about 10 times as much for hospitality on a weekly basis. So on a pure financial basis, it makes it very obvious if you can maximize the revenue tenfold, then you go ahead and do it. And out of 11,000 people at the ground, we're talking about 250 people who maybe a few hundred people who go to 1910. But what Jim did say obviously is that they're looking at alternatives, and I think that hopefully won't just be sitting in the concourse or standing in a concourse freezing and trying to watch a game on a small TV. So if they do put something else in place, I'm sure they obviously will look into that. And he said they're looking at different options then around the ground that are a bit more comfortable, then fine. But it might force other people to go to pubs around the town, which obviously isn't a bad thing, but obviously means a bit less revenue for the club. But as I said, if they're going to replace it with hospitality, then that's the maths, I'm afraid. But well, let's wait and see what they do. I think a lot of people have reacted, and let's wait and see what the actual outcomes are.
There is a bit of a queue at 1910 anyway, Matt, if you don't get there early enough. I know Jim's tried to open the concourse earlier for some fans, but then they close them when the turnstiles open. He's trying his best. He's opening himself to the fan base. He's listening to ideas. He's trying to improve where he can. He's obviously got certain ideas for the future past next season, the season after that as well. But let's just see what happens, I suppose.
Well, let's not beat around the bush here. This is a business now for these Americans, and this is the typical American approach to it. They're monetizing it. They want to make maximum profit out of the football club. Yes, they want to improve the customer experience and they want to offer the best customer service that they possibly can. But at the end of the day, these fellas are here to make money, and they'll do that in the most appropriate way that they think is that they think possible. So, don't be under any illusions. When you see Jim Fravola on Twitter connecting with the fans, he's not doing it for the fun of it or for the love of us. He's doing it because he's a businessman. He's a salesperson. He's a marketing guy. He's highly professional, and he's trying to gauge the reaction. He's trying to see what audience he's dealing with, and he's trying to glean information out of us as supporters. And they'll use that in the most appropriate way possible. So, yeah, we haven't been run as a business before. Let's be honest. The fan experience has been poor, even under Maxim Demon. All the success we had on the field, we've been amateur at best off the field, and that's about to change now. So we're going to have to suck this up, because there'll be a lot more changes that come about, and we won't have too much of a say in it. Yes, they'll probably lay on alternatives, but they're looking for us to spend maximum dollar. They're looking to extract the most amount of money they can out of us as supporters, and they're looking for maximum profit themselves. This is the way that we're going to be run now.
And that's a fair comment, Steve, what Aaron said about giving it to hospitality over giving it to 250 fans before the match. But I know that you will know as well that some areas of the stadium don't even offer an alcoholic drink or a drink for certain fans. And I know that he spoke about that in the video as well. So, yeah, he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to take the 1910 away from some fans.
Yeah, I don't really. I think Matt's right with what he says. We're going to see a big changes, big changes that we've never witnessed before. Because and we've been kind of hankering for it, really, because we've said for many years that old adage of Premier League on the pitch and League Two off the pitch. And Matt's right. It's all going to change now. Jim, these guys are they're money people. They're professionals, and they want to elevate the product, and we are the product. And whether that you're going to upset a few people along the way if you want to make changes. People who are set in their ways, who like their routines, may not have that routine. I've already seen people on Twitter saying they used to go to the concourse early and meet with friends, and now they can't because that's open up for the 1910. So it's going to be, you're going to ruffle some feathers along the way, but I think ultimately they want to see the best for the club. They want to maximise the profit. It might not suit everyone. I did think the cost of living comments was he was trying to dampen it down by saying, we appreciate it and it's a really hard decision. But at the end of the day, it's the dollar signs that matter to them, and we've got to kind of take that if we want to improve as a club. I think it's a bit of a necessary evil to see some changes and maybe some hikes in prices.
Yeah, we're not really going to go over the season tickets. I mean, I'm a season ticket holder. I know that my increase has gone up for me and my boy. And I know that I think the increases accumulate to about £300,000. Finance is not my specialty. It's more football. But when you look at the points and the money you could get for positions in the Premier League, and we potentially could have finished 11th with the maximum points we could have got, lost the last 3 games. Now it's potentially 13th. Worst case scenario, it's 16th, and you're talking potentially 7-8 million quid that we might miss out on just not finishing higher in the league. So there's lots of debates around that. We're not really going to do that tonight. We're going to spend more conversations on the pitch. Let's get to the chat, shall we, and see who's joining us. Chris Hubble, thank you very much. Great to see you in the North Stand on Saturday. AFCB Fan TV. Mark Cole, also great to see you on the match day of last week, last home game. Aaron's with us. We've got Stephen Dyer, good evening from the north. Mark Davis, how are you doing? Chester Leicester, please do a job for us next week. So I assume you're a Foxes fan. We'll talk a little bit about Leicester in a bit. We've also got Dildo. We've got Carol Toller, great to see you the other day as well. Fantastic.
Did you honestly just read that out?
Oh yeah, I did.
Jesus.
Great one. Just
it doesn't narrow it down though, does it?
However, there is,
which one was it referring to?
However, there is a fan that we do have that surname, so I'm going to take that one for us. Guys, something I do want to sort of go over, which is not quite the Cherries at the moment, but Eddie Howe getting Champions League football for Newcastle United. Steve, we all knew what Eddie was capable of. He's probably done it in a faster time than we probably expected, but he's taken Newcastle to Champions League football last night, and we're all made up for him.
Well, it's a trend, isn't it? He did it with us. He elevated us quicker than we ever thought possible. 1 minute we're in the Championship, and next minute we couldn't believe it. Next minute we're in the Premier League. So it's just what Eddie does. He's whatever his secret is, his magic potion he uses, whatever it is it works wonders with some, quite frankly, players that everyone would have thought were quite bang average. And he's done his usual trick. He's elevated them, got them playing a really good brand of football. And I think they've been comfortable, actually, most of the season. They've had a few little dips, but Eddie always did. But I mean, even last night, I know it was a 0-0 and that's all they needed. But for the game, 80% of the game, they were all over Leicester. I mean, Leicester could have snatched it at the end, but I mean, that would have been absolute daylight robbery. Made up for the guy. I think the Newcastle fans who doubted him quickly turned, and he's idolised up there now. So brilliant stuff from him. Didn't expect anything less, and long may it continue. But obviously, when we play him, just take the foot off the gas a little bit, Eddie.
Matt, he also spoke about his achievements, getting to this point, managing Newcastle. They asked him if this was his biggest moment, getting Newcastle to Champions League, but he also spoke about keeping Bournemouth as a football club in the Football League all those years ago.
Well, yeah, that's where it started from. And you have to, initially you have to get a lucky break, don't you? Which he obviously had to get the opportunity within management. But to say that he grasped it with both hands would be a massive, massive understatement, wouldn't it? I think it's just a blend. We know what Eddie's all about, but I don't think the footballing public across the world or the UK did really. And there was massive doubt. So I had no doubt that he was going to be successful as a manager when he left our football club. But I think he's just relentless, Kirk, isn't he? His work ethic is phenomenal. He's relentless. His man management skills. He's relentless in everything he does, which has allowed him to be so successful because he'll do so much research and so much work on himself, how to improve, self-improvement, and he'll relay that to all of the players, all of the coaches. So it has a knock-on effect. Everybody around him, it rubs off on those individuals. He's obviously got a team of people that he's picked to work alongside him that are tried and trusted, and he just gets the best out of players. Like Steve said, quite ordinary football players, average players that in the Premier League that he improves. He's done it. He did it at our club, and he's doing it again. So it's full respect to Eddie always, and he's done a fantastic job, and I'm sure he'll continue. I mean, they're on an upward trajectory. I don't see that curtailing anytime soon. And good luck to him. All the best.
Aaron, all those draws earlier on in the season for Newcastle, I thought that might trip them up as they got to the end. And funnily enough, it was a draw that got them the points they needed to guarantee them Champions League football. Got over the line, nearly didn't at the end, but they've done it. They've done it, and they've been brilliant all season. And they didn't even beat us, Aaron.
No, it hurts. It still hurts me. It hurts me when I'm hearing Eddie Howe's Barmy Army reverberating around Newcastle. It hurts me when I just watch him and look at him, and I'm just like, I'm jealous of the fact that he's a world-class manager. We had him, and goodness knows we'll ever have him.
We set up an Eddie hotline counselling service.
Yeah, but it's I don't. I love that. Yeah, I love the fact he obviously he brought it back to us. He had to get that in there, and I love that. But when you look around the ground and there's like an 80-foot flag with his face on it, we never had that. We idolised. Did we make the most?
We couldn't have fit the flag in our stadium.
You're right.
80 foot, 8 foot would have been a struggle, Aaron.
Yeah, that's true. But and his passion, you could see at the end how much he's idolised. It's a perfect place for him because they're so passionate out there, and obviously delighted for him. Absolutely delighted for him. He can go wherever he wants to go. He's going to be a top world class manager. He already is, but he can go even further. And when they said to him, what about next season? He said, "Well, we'll enjoy tonight, then we'll start building for next season." The excitement we used to feel with him as our manager is just it's just tangible, and I'm just they should be very, very thankful for what they've got. It's interesting, actually. I think if you guys watched Gary Neville afterwards, he made a very good point that I really hope that Eddie isn't a victim of his own success, because next season you got to bet on the likes of Liverpool being stronger. Chelsea will clearly be stronger with a better manager. Man United will be stronger. Spurs can't be any worse, can they? So if he was to finish 5th or 6th next season, I hope they don't see that as going backwards and suddenly he's under pressure, because this season there were a lot of those bigger clubs who didn't perform, but. So I hope they stick with him for many years to come, unless obviously they want to give him back to us.
Well done, Eddie Howe. We hope you do very well in the Champions League for Newcastle next season. And when you've won the World Cup with England in many years to come, you'll come back to us and we'll see. We might be good then. So I was going to say he's got unfinished business with us, but we might be fantastic as well in about 20 years' time. We're in the Champions League. Anyway, let's get on to talking about Bournemouth and currently where we are in this Premier League game. 38 coming on Sunday, final game of the season. Let's look at the Premier League table, and it has Bournemouth currently safe on 39 points in 15th. Forest have also secured their Premier League status. They are 16th. Then we talk about Everton, Leicester, Leeds and Southampton. So they've got everything to play for. Matt, we got Everton this weekend. I think Sean Dyche has got something like 4 wins since he's come in. I don't know how many wins they had before that, but he's got them into a position where it's in their hands.
Yeah, that is firmly in there. I mean, they're the firm favourites out of the 3 of them, aren't they? Massive favourites to get the job done, because we are, as we've seen the last few weeks, pretty much on the beach. You know, I don't think there's any there should be motivation for us on Sunday, but whether we'll have motivation is another matter, really. I'd like to see us go out with a bang and up our game, turn in a really good performance. I do think that the key to it is the Everton crowd on Sunday. I think that the longer the game goes on, where Everton don't score or maybe are not winning the football match, and maybe there is a bit of a threat, the crowd will get edgy. They will get on their back. They're very quick to turn on them if things aren't going their way. And I think we were saying off air, we've been probably saying all week that if we do send them down, things will be very, very toxic at the full-time whistle around the foot, just around the stadium, but I think outside the stadium as well. So that's a bit of a concern, seeing as we're all going up. Well, apart from Aaron, we're all going to the game. Hopefully Steve's back, holds out, and he'll be able to join us.
I'll be hobbling along.
Yeah, so yeah, you'll be no good in a scrap, will you?
No, I ain't gonna. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so it's going to be interesting. But I think it's how we can manage the game, if we can control the football match in any way, because there will be nerves among their players. You know, they're not the greatest side in the world, and they proved that all season. I still think their squad is pretty weak, to be honest. I don't think they've got a strong squad. It doesn't impress me or strike fear into me at all. So there's no reason why we can't go there and ruffle a few feathers. But it'll be very much down to our approach, I think, how we approach the game and how we perform, and factors obviously off the pitch and in the stands as well.
Yeah, we'll look at the Everton side in more detail on Thursday in the match preview, and I think there might not be no Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Steve, for Leeds, a side that we talked about before the season kicked off, we did a little video, and I think I said that Leeds were in trouble under Jesse Marsh, and since then they've brought in 2 more coaches, and Sam Allardyce was the final roll of the dice. I think he's made them a little bit harder to beat. They are still conceding goals. They were conceding buckets before they came to Dean Court. They are still conceding goals, but they are giving themselves a bit of a better chance. But Leeds are yet to win in 5 games. They've got to do something on Sunday they haven't done in the last 5.
Yeah, who have they got again? Is it West Ham? Tottenham. Sorry, they played West Ham the other day, didn't they? Thing is, every time I watch Leeds, I just think they're very poor. Defensively, mainly. You're right. They've got no problems going forward and scoring goals, but defensively they're shocking. I mean, Meslier got so bad. He had a bit of a Travers-esque sort of situation, didn't he? He was conceding so many goals. They took him out the firing line, and the young goalkeeper again. Now they've replaced him with is it Robles? I think he used to be the ex-Everton keeper at one point. But he, and I don't know. Sam's made them a bit better in that regard. They're not conceding as many, but equally they're still conceding, and they're conceding against teams in and around them, such as West Ham, who aren't that much better than them, I don't think, really, on paper. So yeah, I think they're gone. I don't think they've got enough to survive. I think it'll be between Everton and Leicester. But the thing for me on the weekend is that I just think it's all in Everton's hands. If they've got, I just think they'll go for it massively. We won't be that bothered, I don't think. I know everyone keeps saying, we shouldn't be on the beach, but I think we definitely are. In the last sort of 3 games has proven that. They've got something to fight for. Every game we've had something to sort of fight for. Like Man United had something to fight for on the weekend. We didn't. They got the points. They're a home crowd. I I know what Matt's saying about if the crowd, if they don't score and it gets, but it's going to be one of them situations in it all afternoon where people are going to get stuff coming through on their phones, and then the mood's going to change one way or the other. So it could be a case that they don't even need to beat us. They're already in that driving seat, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting, emotion-filled day for a lot of fans. Happily, we're not part of that, so we can kind of join the players on the beach a little bit and have a bit of fun. Just take your inflatables, have a laugh.
Yes,
it'll be fun.
Definitely take the inflatables. Similar to Leicester, for Leicester, Aaron, a side that we beat a few weeks ago, and I thought they're right in the mix now. And James Maddison was assisting for Billing, and he wasn't even starting last night at St James's Park, not even Harvey Barnes as well. They definitely parked the bus for a lot of that game and nearly took a winner with Castagna late on. But Dean Smith, he said he wasn't going to apologise for the way he set up. They got a point. It might not be enough. Similar to Leeds in their form guide, Aaron, they haven't won in 5 either. They got to do that on Sunday to give themselves a chance.
Yeah, I watched last night, and I think I'm not a big fan of Dean Smith at all. But I think he actually played it completely right last night, because I think if they'd have gone for a win, they would have been ticked off. I mean, they would have picked off anyway, because Newcastle couldn't put the ball in the net. But obviously, if they'd have won last night, it was in their hands because of their goal difference. But I think last night was a massive point for Leicester, a huge point in the grand scheme of it, because it now means that if they win, they don't have to worry about Leeds anymore. So forget Leeds. And what it also means is that Everton, if Leicester hadn't have won last night, if Leicester hadn't have got a point last night, a draw for Everton probably would have been enough against us. But now Everton know they probably need to beat us if Leicester win. So that changes the dynamic in that game as well. So it was a huge point for Leicester. And I think it suddenly, because I thought they were gone, it suddenly for me now puts them in a real chance, because I think they'll beat West Ham, because West Ham have this Conference League final coming up.
They'll put out a B team, won't they?
Yeah, they could well do, and no. So and Leicester at home, likes of Maddison, Barnes, that Vardy will be up for it. I just think they'll beat West Ham, which then means that Everton will need to beat us. But I mean, Steve Matt have said it already. Everton compete in the box seat. I mean, I remember back to '94 when they beat Wimbledon, and a couple of last season was the same. That there'll be the welcoming the blue flares in the street, and they'll try to make it as intimidating as possible. But I think if we hold out the first 10-15 minutes of that game, it will suddenly die down. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. But what I think you guys should all do is have a bit of fun and start all cheering to make them think that Leicester have scored, and just have a bit of fun with the Everton crowd. Just have some bit of pranks. But yeah, no, I mean, Calvert-Lewin's a massive loss. Everton aren't great, and I think I'd like to think that we owe the likes of Leicester and Leeds. We don't owe Leeds anything, but we owe the likes of Leicester and Leeds to be professional in the same way that West Ham as well. They can't really put out a complete B team because people's seasons depend on it. So I'd like to think we put out the strongest possible team we could.
Yes, let's take a look at that final match week of fixtures. Arsenal take on Wolves, Villa take on Brighton, Brentford against Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Forest, Man United, Fulham, Southampton already relegated, Southampton taking on Liverpool. And there's your 3 fixtures. The focus from Sky Sports will be on it. Everton versus Bournemouth, Leeds against Spurs, Leicester against West Ham. Weirdly, guys, all 3 teams at home, the teams trying to stay up, are at home, whether they can use that to their advantage. Let's shift the focus to Goodison Park.
Is there a situation where they can all finish on the same points? I thought someone said, or is that right?
Well, Leicester getting a draw last night meant that their goal difference is still in play, really. If Everton draw and both Leeds and Leicester win, they're all stay up. That Leicester will stay up on goal difference.
Yeah, they're on the same points, aren't they? Yeah, Leicester and Leeds.
Wow.
As I say, that point last night, Everton and Leeds would have beaten that point.
The goal difference could definitely come into play, so you can see where
it makes Everton's job a bit harder. Yeah.
Let's focus on Goodison Park then, Matt. Everton have been here before. I can't tell you exactly when, but right at the start of the Premier League era, they had to survive on the last day of the season. I'm confident of that. They might have been there one other time as well. And inside all of that, David Moyes has got them close to 4th a couple of times, maybe. Can't remember if they got Champions League football or just missed out. But they've been here before. And they're also building a new stadium, which is due to be completed for them, not next season, the season after. I don't think they're getting on with their current board. There's a lot of pressure going to be at Goodison Park for the Toffees.
Yeah, there will be. I think Aaron's already touched upon it. I think it was against Wimbledon, Aaron, wasn't it, in 1994? Yeah. And I remember that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. I remember their owner. I think it was their owner said that day, "Never again can we allow ourselves to be in this situation. Everton Football Club can never again be in this situation." And at the time, because they'd been so successful throughout the 80s, I mean, they'd won the league in the 80s. They've been in European competition, and they've been a massive football club. You sort of thought, yeah, well, absolutely, Everton can't be in this situation. But the fact is that they have been a few times now, and they've been languishing for years. This has been on the cards for years, really, due to mismanagement, problems at boardroom level, at ownership level. Yeah, they've got the new stadium. I mean, they're the club out of the three that are in the most peril as a football club, I would say, if they get relegated, because they've got this new stadium that they've put all the eggs in the basket on, and also, you know, there's ownership struggles going on. They're talking about selling the football club again. Massive problems potentially going on behind the scenes. So for a club like Everton to be going through this and get relegated could be absolutely catastrophic for them. It really could. So you would worry for them, to be honest, if they got relegated. I think. I mean, the chances are that they're big enough to come again, and they'll probably get taken over by, I don't know, rich Arab owners and bounce back at the first opportunity and throw a load of money at it. But there's no guarantee, is there, that will happen? There's clearly issues going on, and can you imagine that stadium in the Championship? What was it, 55,000? Ridiculous to think, really. But the fact is boys, is that we're all here on merit, aren't we? And I know we get a lot of stick, don't we, about what Bournemouth doing in the Premier League. Look at Luton. What are they going to do in the Premier League? These could be in the Premier League next season. But you know, it's a very elitist attitude, and for a working man sport, a so-called, take it from a political view, it's a very sort of Tory attitude to take, in it, that only the elite should be able to survive in the Premier League, because, you know, points on the board is what gets you, and running the football club properly is what gets you success behind the scenes. And these clubs have been mismanaged and badly run for years. They might be footballing giants and, you know, colossuses, and they might be big institutions, but if they can't do it on the pitch and they're run poorly, then they get what they deserve, in my opinion. And you know, we're where we are on merit, and they're where they are on merit, and it's a great leveler, isn't it, really?
Steve, big teams have gone before, though. West Ham have gone, Newcastle have gone. Nothing to say that Everton might not go. And like Matt's touched upon there, next season in the Championship, you could have the likes of St Mary's, the King Power, Goodison Park, and maybe the new stadium if they don't bounce back. And coming the other way, you could have Kenilworth Road, and the Vitality Dean Court will still be in the Premier League. It's interesting times for the English football game.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Everton going down. I don't mind Everton. They've always been there. They're one of the consistent top level sides, and always have been. I know what Matt's saying about merit, but there's this kind of romantic side of me that doesn't want them to go down just because they've always been there. Having said that, Matt's entirely right. They've been mismanaged for years, and I feel sorry for their fans, really, because they're the ones that are suffering through all of this. No matter how much money you throw at it, if you're not doing things properly off the pitch, you're just going to end up sinking like a ship. I mean, some of their recruitment over the past few years has been absolutely woeful. I think they've got one of the biggest spends as well. You know, 500 million. Yeah, 500 million. I was told recently, and you know, you look at the teams they're putting out, and you just think, where's that money gone? You know, where is it? You know, they've had people bought them out, and they've started. Oh, someone on the radio said the other day, it was a few years back, and people saying, wait till Everton have got some money, and then they got, you know, someone took them over and give them some money, and where's it all gone? You know, they're still languishing down there. So something's fundamentally wrong, and it's a shame because it's a grand old club, English club. That's just like, but going back to the teams in the Championship, Matt's right on. It's a merit thing, isn't it? So Luton have got, you know, they were close last season. They did a really good season. They only petered off towards the end, I think. But you know, I remember them being in the top flight when I was a lad. I think Mick Harford was up front for them in them days. So you know, and Coventry for that matter. You know, there's some big clubs that have always been, have been in and around it before. So I think you want to kind of see the underdog do well. I think that's the Bournemouth fan in us. I'd love to see Luton back up there. I quite like, because I don't think they're going to have the ground necessarily sorted out. So I quite like a trip to Kenilworth Road. It's quite a fun experience. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, all three of those clubs that are petering on the edge, as it were, they're all big clubs. Leeds, Leicester, and Everton, all massive clubs, and all could be playing Championship football next season, which is great for the likes of some of the little clubs coming up from League One or whoever comes up through the playoffs on that one. So yeah, that's football. I mean, even if you go down to League One, you've still got the likes of Wednesday down there.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a massive clubs. Like, I mean, Hillsborough used to be a semi-final, FA Cup semi-final ground, so it's a huge place. So it's just it's just all about management, and the likes of us and Brighton, we're now in the Premier League. Brentford as well, who have managed their smaller clubs very well and have grown. And unfortunately, they're going to take the places of some bigger clubs. And I suppose you can say it's a bit elitist, but that's why they don't like it. They don't like the little people stepping on the big boys' toes.
No,
absolutely not.
In the chat, there's a banner going across the screen at the moment. Who do you think will be relegated with Southampton? So Leeds, Leicester, and Everton. We'll ask the guys in a moment who they think the two of the three that will go. But do put your predictions in the chat, and we'll show them on the screen in a bit. And Aaron, I mean, I was listening to the radio or a podcast the other day, and there was a guy from Coventry saying it would be amazing to go up to the Premier League, but literally most of their teams out of contract. They're definitely going to lose their striker that scored most of their goals. I was going to say his name then, but I was worried I was going to get it wrong. And then
they even own their ground at the minute.
No, and he said they've got no money. He said, so as interesting as it would be to go up for Coventry, he said it would be an absolute disaster because they wouldn't even be able to compete. They wouldn't even be able to buy players.
Yeah. I got a soft spot for Coventry. I don't know why. I just remember their 1987 winning team, cup team. Dave Bennett, Keith Houchin. It was a great cup final. And
Brizovic.
Grizovic. Yeah. Brilliant team. I love that team. Great album from '87. I remember that.
Kilcline.
Trevor Peake.
Brian Kilcline.
Greg Downs.
Lloyd
McGrath. Anyway.
Showing our age now.
Yeah. What was the question, Kurt? I don't even know what the question was.
I don't know.
It was name the whole 87 Coventry squad.
We've done it.
We just digressed onto Luton, and I was just talking about Coventry, basically, and a massive achievement go up, but they're literally going to have a Forest scenario, where they're going to have no players really because they're either on loan or out of contract. Gutierrez, I've gone for it. I think I got it right. Is pretty much going to go to a bigger club or another club, but they're not in a position that Forest are, where they've got this rich owner. So it's going to be a bit of a disastrous moment for them.
Ashley wants to sell their ground. I think he owns the ground now, Mike Ashley. So I've never been to Coventry's ground either, so I'd love to go. I mean, I was just delighted Middlesbrough and Sunderland fell out, because whether it's Coventry or Luton, it's a much easier away game to get to, and I love either of them, to be honest with you. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see. It's good to see either of those clubs coming out. I'll be delighted.
So we see the predictions. You guys think about your predictions. Leeds and Leicester to go as it is. Leeds and Leicester, same with Stephen. Chris Hubble's going for Leeds and Everton. Bournemouth to do one of the other clubs a favour then, Chris. Mark's going for Leeds and Leicester. Cameron's going for Leeds and Leicester. Heather, I'm hoping Leeds. Don't mind who else. Leeds and Everton from Jamie Adams. Leeds and Everton. Now, guys, we have been beaten. We've had a league double done against us 7 times this season by 7 football clubs. And we've also done the double to another team just once. Just a quick little throw in the chat, or not in the chat, in this room. Can you name the team we've beaten twice home and away this season? Just the one team.
You want us to say it?
Yeah, go on. Anyone got it?
Leicester.
Yeah.
Okay. Easy. So Leicester is the team that we've beaten home and away. Anyone want to name the 7? The 7 we've lost home and away.
Man United,
more difficult.
Man City,
Man United, Man City,
Arsenal, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else?
Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Palace. Yeah.
I think you're missing one. They just made you.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Well done, Matt. Brighton. We've got Matthew Gale joining us. Heather's playing the game, trying to name the teams that have done the double over us, and we've done the double over Leicester, and that might put them in the Championship. So, Steve, 2 out of the 3 teams that potentially could go down with the Saints. Who do you think it will be?
I'm of the opinion as the majority of the chat. I think it'd be Leeds and Leicester. It'd be the double L's, and that's purely because I quite like Everton, and I think they're in the box seat, and I think we're a little bit on the beach. I just think they've got the best chance on the final day. Personally, just looking at it from taking my Cherries hat off and just saying they got the best chance. I believe they're in the best position. And I quite like them, and they're old club, English club, top flight club, and I think they should stay.
As it is for Steve, then, Matt. Does it change though throughout the day? Are we going to be able to play with the Everton fans a little bit, where goals do go in elsewhere? Not like that. Goals do go in elsewhere.
Yeah, potentially, but I just think, like Steve said, I think Everton are in the box. 2 points is 2 points, but it's a big gap when you're on the final day of the season to throw at home to Bournemouth, who are on the beach. And we all say we hope we won't be, but if you look at it on paper as it is, you'd have to say that Everton are massive favourites, and it is difficult, even as a ball. Like Steve said, taking your Bournemouth hat off, it's difficult to see anything else but Leeds and Leicester going on paper. But as we know, football is not played on paper. And things can happen. Teams can lose their nerve on the final day. Everton could get a player sent off after 10 minutes.
Yeah,
they could be rattled. They could be nervy.
We could get a penalty.
We might get a penalty.
No, sorry,
no chance. That ain't happening. But they could get a player sent off, and you never know, do you? In that situation, so it's hard to call. But looking at it as it is on paper, yeah, I'd have to say Leeds and Leicester, massive favourites to go.
As the table is, Aaron, does it stay like this come 90 minutes at Goodison Park?
Probably. I mean, again, taking my Bournemouth hat off, because obviously if that's the case, we're all predicting us to lose, which we don't always do. But if I was looking at it from the outside, you think, Bournemouth at home to win that, they'd take that all day long. I think Leeds will lose to Spurs. Rubbish as Spurs are, I just think Leeds are useless, and I think Spurs will just, Leeds won't win that game for me. And I think Leicester will beat West Ham. So I think Everton will need to beat us. As I said, I'm hoping just from our point of view that it's not like 1 or 2-0 down within 10 minutes and it's kind of game over. As I said, the longer we can keep it going, the more drama there is, a bit more nervy. If Leicester score, then Everton fans will get nervy. But I just think their fans will drive them on to victory. I just think they'll be giving absolutely everything. I'm not saying we won't, but as Steve said earlier, psychologically, we probably won't. They'll be like dying out there for the cause and throwing everything in front of everything and whatever it takes. So
there is a bit of a caveat.
Go on.
So, that might psychologically play on them is that you're talking about teams who've done the double over. Well, we have technically done the double over Everton already this season. Yeah. So they've already lost to us twice.
Yeah,
I think we've actually won the last 4 against Everton at least.
Yeah, we've got a good record against them. I think Calvert-Lewin's a massive blow. I mean, from the sounds of it, he is definitely going to be out. And we know that without him, they are toothless as hell. They really are. So that's a massive blow for them.
What are you saying? Mopé is not a good goal scorer?
Yeah, Mopé or Sims, I think. Yeah, and also apparently haven't got any. Their fullbacks aren't fit. Patterson's injured. Mikalenko's injured. Coleman's obviously out for the season, so they were playing Michael Keane at right back. If Everton stay up, it will be through sheer desire and want, and because they have to. I think as a football team, if we play like anything like we can, if we put a full strength team out, or as full strength as we can put out, I think we should be able to beat them. But
it'll either be that, or it'll be the fact that Leeds and Leicester don't get the results that they need.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, you're right. If West Ham and Spurs are both 2-0 up after 20 minutes, then it's irrelevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, like Stu's just mentioned in the chat there. Sorry, Matt. Like Stu's just mentioned in the chat there as well. keep Everton up, then they'll get the points deduction. I think clubs are already preparing their lawsuits if they do stay up. Feels similar to when we went down and we went back and went, hang on, can you overturn that VAR goal line technology mistake at Villa Park and we'll stay up? I remember us trying to go in for a little bit of trying to get the decision overturned. But Matt, yeah, what are you saying?
It's a fair point there by Stu. Yeah, fair point. But what I was going to say was, I don't think that the desire and the passion and the commitment will be in question. Sean Dyche will demand that. Yeah. I've never known a Sean Dyche side not give that. For me, it's whether they can hold their nerve, and play the football that they need to play in front of those fans on Sunday. The commitment, desire, passion element doesn't play a part for me. That's a given.
Do smash the like button on this video. Do subscribe to Cherries Red Army. Do get your comments in below if you're watching this video back on replay. And we're going to talk about the best Colombian footballer you've ever seen in your life in just a moment in Jefferson Lerma. But finally, guys, I do want to just talk about Bournemouth and where we are. We got to that 39-point marker. Some fans were talking about potentially exceeding our ever best points total. Since then, 3 losses. In some of those losses, we haven't even scored. Some fans are saying we're on the beach. Some are disappointed. I know I wish that we would just keep kicking on and try and finish as high as possible. There's money involved as well. Steve, I know that Gary O'Neill came out the other day and said that he's struggling to motivate the players. In a sense, that's what he was trying to say, that since we got to 39 points, since we had that week of West Ham, Leeds and Southampton, he struggled to motivate the players because we already reached the mountain. Look, we all know that Gary O'Neill's had a few moments in the media where he probably wished he hadn't have said that. I didn't particularly like it. Some have taken it with a pinch of salt. I don't particularly like that we took our foot off the gas. All the players are sort of okay, already done, and it's all right. We've got another Premier League season next year.
Yeah, well, it's obviously great with a few people of late with the ticket price hikes. And they're going, well, if you'd have just played a bit better, you could have maybe saved a few million quid. But that was. I mean, this was what I said. I said this when at the time when we became safe. I said, and there was talk of the best ever finish we could ever have. Even eclipsing Eddie Howe, which is mental, really, to think that was a possibility at that point. And I said the key thing here is if Gary can keep the players motivated. It's another one of those for me. It's undoubtedly for what we've been through this season. Hats off to all of them. They've got us where we needed to be. They've done the job. A lot of people had us written off. A lot of our own fan base wrote us off. I'm not going to exclude myself. At times I doubted it, but they pulled out the bag. They've done some. They've put in some brilliant performances of late. Got us where we need to be. However, we as fans, and I'm going to pretty much every game. We're paying money. I go to that Palace performance away, and it was dreadful. And you just think, come on, lads. I know we've done the job. We've got to the mountain, as Gary said, but show us a little bit. I mean, United was better. Thought it was a close game. But yeah, it's just another one of those things, and I hope people don't use it against him, because what he might not be everybody's kettle of fish, and some of the players might not be everyone's kettle of fish, but ultimately he's done a remarkable job from where we thought we might be with what he's got. I mean, I know the ownership's helped with the money, but at the end of the day, everyone had him written off, including a lot of our own fan base, and he's got us there. So he deserves his crack at it. Let's hope the summer brings some new interesting faces in, because I'm sure we're going to talk about some of the ones we may be losing in a second. But yeah, it's a shame we haven't kept motivated, because obviously the fans are still paying their money and all the rest of it. But it's been a grind for a lot of those players, and I can kind of get it a little bit, although I'm not an advocate for it.
Yeah, Matt, I mean, there's also some experimenting in there for Gary O'Neill and what he's hopefully going to try and build into the team through pre-season. What's our identity? Are we a back three? Are we a back four? What are we like on the ball? What are we like off the ball? And I know that Jack Tanner from the Dorset Echoes talked a bit about that today, about trying stuff. I mean, all I've really seen, Matt, is a centre-back play at right back that's not clearly going to be a right back moving forward. Vina came on to play right back as well. Christie tried the number 10 the other day, not quite billing. So some experimenting, although, Matt, I do think the experimenting I've seen is already stuff we probably already know. But some fans have said, Matt, that when are you going to try it if you don't try it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, everybody knows my views on Gary O'Neill. I've always stuck with him. I felt we needed stability at the time. We needed to keep the faith. He didn't have the tools to do the job. He proved that he was learning on the job, that he could learn. And I thought the right thing all the way through, even through our worst moments in the season, was to stick with him, keep faith, and get behind the team, because we all could see what we needed strengthening on the pitch and probably in the backroom team as well, which hasn't happened too much. But yeah, I'll also be critical if criticism is needed, I feel, of Gary. And I feel the last couple of games that's already been touched upon by Steve, he's got it wrong. He's got the selection wrong. He's got the formation wrong. He's got the lineup completely wrong. Even on Saturday against Man United, I don't think he's got it right. And I know he's been restricted with a few players out injured and this, that, and the other. But some of the things that he's done, which has been the case throughout the season, of course it has. He's learning on the job. He's made mistakes, but I feel that he's got it wrong the last couple of games. And I'm not going to come down too hard on him, because as Steve's already said, he's done a fantastic job in keeping this football club in the Premier League. Let's not underestimate it. Let's call it for what it is. It's a fantastic achievement, and he deserves the opportunity to carry that on next year. But it will be interesting to see, like you say, Kirk, as well. He's talking about, well, I'm trying a few things. I want to, create an identity and make sure, experiment with a few things. But I can't see that at all. I can't see what the experiment is and what he's trying, really. All I can see is him getting it wrong on the pitch. I mean, there is points to play for, and fans pay good money. And as we've all said, and also owners pay good money, and they expect the highest finish possible, because that is in itself good money coming into the football club, which would account for quite a few things. So, yeah, I just hope, let's put these last couple of games behind us, because he has made mistakes, and he does so in the media. Some of the things that he says, he's learning on the job. He's going to do this. We have to be patient. We have to stick with him. We have to understand to a degree that that's going to be the case. As long as he learns from it. That's all I ask from the fellow. And so far he's proved that he has. So let's see what Sunday brings. I just hope that we can go out with a bang, give it everything. He picks the right team, the strongest team that he can pick, the right formation to match up Everton. And we have a right go. And then let's see where we're at. They need to sit down and assess things in the close season, don't they? With Richard Hughes and Neil Blake, Simon Francis, whoever else, and the management team. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of surgery needed, I think, to the squad. There's a lot of players that need to go for me, and there's quite a few that need to come in if we're not going to be involved in a real scrap again next season. I think there's a lot of work to do. So it'll be interesting to see.
Do you not think the experimenting has been very evident? I think it's been very evident quite a lot of the season, actually. I think
he has tinkered, yeah. We've used a lot of players, haven't we?
Yeah, but I think this is the problem, because he hasn't had he didn't have a pre-season like any other manager would have had. He just came in, shoehorned in, and he was literally rolling the dice during games and trying things. And sometimes they work, and sometimes they wouldn't. But this is the problem with learning as you go in.
But Steve, he's been with this squad for 2 years.
Yeah, no, I get that.
He was a coach before he was the interim coach. It's not like he's.
But he's never had to sit there and in-game manage as such as like he is with a lot of players that he doesn't really. Who Scott Parker thought was ideal in that position, he may not have thought maybe they could do a job somewhere else. And that's what I'm saying about the experimenting. Because I remember times when you'd see Jayden Anthony go into a fullback position, or you'd have Smithy all of a sudden be a bit further forward or whatever, and he was just messing around, small tinkerings with stuff just to see if they worked for me. And a lot of time they didn't.
One thing he's got to do is he's got to get a settled side in. One thing Eddie Howe did is he had a settled group, and partnerships were formed, particularly defensively. He seems to chop and change his centre backs. He chops from a back four.
But now's the time to do that. Like you just said, Matt, in the off season, he needs to nail this down. and see what works and what doesn't.
See,
Yeah, I take your point.
Aaron, I made this point the other day. Gary O'Neill's had 32 games now, whether that's interim or head coach. And on Saturday against Manchester United, you saw a left back playing right back. And Jack Stacey has had to watch Adam Smith play ahead of him, Ryan Fredericks at times play ahead of him, Chris Mepham played ahead of him against Crystal Palace, and now he's seen the left back go on ahead of him. Now, I don't think Vina's going to be a right back for us next season. I don't think Chris Mepham's going to be a right back for us next season. I'm all for trying to find out what Gary O'Neill is as a head coach, what his identity is. But the changes, like the guys have said, the decisions he's making are not telling me something for next season, because I'm not going to see, I don't believe I'm going to see Chris Mepham as a marauding right back next season. So is Kelly a left back or is he a centre back? Because we've seen him at left back win some games. We've seen him at centre back and he's come away from Palace with credit. Then he's pushed back out to left back. Now, I understand he's trying to get Senesi and Sabani in there. But again, what does that tell us about next season? I know there's a wider conversation about the squad, and I think we'll have more conversations about that after the Everton game, and we'll look at what players will be here. But what does he do on Sunday against Everton, Aaron? Because he took the shackles off as he is interim at the start, and we got some results. He's tried to play around with the squad, cost us games. Then we got some results in April, playing a back three. Then we've tried different things again, and we've lost football matches. What does he do? Does he go back to what got him some wins, or does he keep trying new stuff?
Well, I don't know what you say. Well, got him some wins. He's got wins of different formations and different personnel. So, for me, I listened to his interview after the game on Saturday, and I was a bit surprised that Vina was brought on the right back, because then Anthony was still on the left. You could just switch the two because Vina's been so effective going forward on that left hand side. But he said, said after the game, we're looking at him at right back because apparently Vina likes to play right back and cut in on his left foot. So he obviously wants to have a look at him there. Stacey's obviously going out the door because, there's no other reason not to play Jack Stacey, because for me, Jack Stacey is great at getting forward from that position. For me, I guess we just don't know what maybe he doesn't know what his identity is yet, what formation he wants to play. I mean, I've said for a long time now, Lloyd Kelly for me isn't a left back. Lloyd Kelly is for me is best on the left side of the back three. He was immense at Southampton. He's been great in other games. When Lloyd Kelly's on it, he's unbelievable. But I also quite like to see Senesi and Zabani play together next season. So where does that leave Lloyd Kelly? I've never been a fan of a back three, but actually in some games this year, Spurs away, in other games, it actually worked really well. And maybe it does suit our personnel more, although I've always been an advocate of a back four. So I don't know the answer to your question. I think Matt's right. There does need major surgery. I'm pretty sure we will splash the cash and we will buy players, because there's no doubt we will massively struggle if we don't invest a lot on this team next season. Gary O'Neill 100% deserves a crack next season because he's kept us up. He's fulfilled his remit. He had an unbelievable April, which essentially has done the job, but that job's been done. And I think, now who can he attract to the football club? Who can he retain? I think we're going to come on to that in a minute. And who needs to be got rid of, and so I think a lot of it's down to recruitment this summer, and I also would like to see a more experienced backroom help for him as well, alongside Tommy and Sean. I think that's a must, has to be. I don't know who that person would be, but so I think I'm kind of just let's get this season done and dusted, job done. Hasn't always been pretty. It's been a very strange season because it's been a lot of. I don't remember a season like it whereby we're in the Premier League. We've done so well to stay up. But there's been some toxicity. There's been fans split. I don't remember the fans so split as this ever, because, under Paul Groves and Jimmy Quinn, we were all quite together on wanting them out. Obviously under Eddie, we all worshipped the guy, even under Bond, O'Driscoll, Machin. I don't remember ever being this situation. I don't remember ever being a manager where the song was hardly ever sung, and when it was sung, it's half-heartedly sung. It's so strange. The whole thing's just strange. I can't put my finger on it. But I want the whole fan base to love the manager. I want the whole fan base to be singing his name. No, people didn't particularly like Scott Parker, but every single game last season it was "We've got Super Scott." The whole in unison, right? The whole crowd was singing it. So we've got to move forward, and I think we've got to attack it. The future is so exciting. We've spoken about Foley and etc. and what we can bring and the players we can now attract, and I'm really excited to see who we bring in this summer. So I can't wait for next season, but I'm quite happy this one's finished, and that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, this conversation could go on and on and on, but I do want to move on to Jefferson Lerma, and we'll probably talk about what the Bournemouth identity will look like, what the squad will look like. As I said, after the season's finished, we'll do some more live streams with you throughout June. Matt, there will need to be money spent in pre-season. This squad will need a little bit of an overhaul. I'm convinced of that. Will Jefferson Lerma still be a Bournemouth player, though, next season? 180 plus appearances, 12 goals, 8 assists, 53 yellow cards, 3 red cards, none this season, mind. 7 yellow cards this season. What a player this guy has been. Signed him in 2018. Probably
He's
still
only had 53 yellow cards.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
He's improved the last couple of seasons, mind. Bought him in 2018, Matt. 25 million quid. I think that's still our highest record. I don't know if Traore's outdone him this season with his transfer fee. I really want Jeff to stay. How are you feeling about this moment? Is this his final game at Goodison Park?
I think it will be. I mean, we've even called our cat Lerma, so you can imagine how disappointed we'll be. But
he's been on a few shows as well.
How many cards has your yellow cat got? How many yellow cards has your cat got?
He's got more than Lerma. He's a nightmare. But I just think it will be his last game. I think he's given 5 years of service, and I think that's quite rare in this day and age, particularly for a club that has been relegated. And he's showed his loyalty. He stuck with us, didn't he, in the Championship? So he showed tremendous loyalty there when he probably didn't have to. And there'll be bigger and better offers on the table for him at this moment in time. So it's going to test his loyalty, and he's going to be severely tempted to take one of those offers. And when you hear about some of the clubs that are potentially in the mix and what they're going to be able to offer him compared to maybe what we can. But I also think, a bit like Dan Juma coming back, it's a totally different situation, but we're breaking the bank for somebody. Do we really need to do that? I mean, do we? Yes, he's a great player. He's been a great servant. Is he replaceable? Yes, of course.
I don't know, Matt. But Matt, if you look at that squad before we go into the market, you're talking about having Lewis Cook, Joe Rothwell, Gavin Kilkenny, Ben Pearson. I understand what you're saying, but you're talking about Jefferson Lerma, who's in his prime, 28. Yeah. Now, I know he scored on the opening day.
But how far do we go then, Kurt? What do we throw at him? Because I
thought my season ticket increase was paying for his new contract, to be fair. So if it's not, I want to know what.
I think it goes a bit more than what anyone's going to offer him. I think there's other things in play here. I think there's a lot of murmurings that his family want to return to Spain.
Of course.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what I've been hearing a lot.
The point I'm trying to make is that we have to run our club sustainably still. We have to run it responsibly. So we have to. There is framework that at this moment in time we get 10,000 fans through the gate. We're still the smallest club in the Premier League, and will be next season, apart from arguably Luton. So we have to be careful what we're doing. We will get to a point, I think, where we have to walk away from the negotiation table with Jeff. Unfortunately,
I don't know what Jefferson Lerma is on, though, Matt. Have we potentially got away with probably not paying what he's worth? I don't know what his salary is. But
he's already going to be one of the highest earners, Kirk. And we paid a record transfer fee for him, and he's been with us 5 years, so he's arguably probably the top earner already, maybe, or he's in the top 3, isn't he?
Is there a place, Steve, where Jefferson Lerma goes and you're actually feeling a little bit disappointed? Because I think I'll speak for most fans, almost everyone, that I think will send Jeff on his way with all the love in the world. But if he signs for Crystal Palace, who are going to be competing with us for Premier League positions, or a club I thought about the other day, could he potentially go to Newcastle? Anywhere in England, is it going to bother you if Jefferson Lerma's in a shirt in the Premier League, but Bournemouth?
If it's a club along the lines of a Palace or a West Ham, which is the two I've heard, yes, I would be very disappointed, because I think we should be able to compete with them. if it's a case of just renegotiating a contract with him. Newcastle's an interesting one. I hadn't really thought about that, and I suppose you kind of like, well, he's going off to under Eddie's wing again, and you kind of think, well, I can't blame the guy. We can't. No one will ever wish anything, any bad will to Jeff. He's been an amazing servant, as Aaron said, for so long. You can, out of all the players that we've had over that period of time, you'd say that guy never has ever left. He's never left anything in the changing room. He's put it all out there every game. Personally, I think if he goes abroad, I send him on his merry way with all the best will in the world, because he's been brilliant for us. But anywhere, if it's a Palace or a West Ham, I would be disappointed.
Just playing devil's advocate here then, boys, from what I've just said, we're probably going to have to spend 25-30 million to replace him. So
I reckon.
Do we go all out and say, well,
that's the thing. I was thinking that the thing is, nowadays I wouldn't be so worried as I would in the past, because we've got the ability to go out and get a top centre midfielder. But so I wouldn't be as concerned. I'll be gutted and devastated, because I think he gives us so much, like more than we probably. It's one of those ones until he's gone, you won't realise it, because
you miss him when he's not there.
But
that's what we would say, isn't it?
I'd like to think that nowadays we can go and say, okay, right, well, Lewis Cook ain't good enough. Pearson's clearly not good enough, so we need to spend a lot of money on a midfielder, and we probably can do that. And I'm with Steve as well. If he goes to Palace or West Ham, I'd be like, really? Like, I wouldn't be disappointed with him, simply because he stayed in the Championship with us for 2 years when he had no right to. So I've got I couldn't hold anything against Jeff Lerma, but I'd be like, really? What the hell's that about? If he went to Newcastle or Arsenal, or Champions League club, I can understand it. If he went to Spain, fine. I mean, for me, I do think he's probably going to go, but there's a part of me thinking, like Richard Hughes said before in that interview, he said, it hasn't been decided yet. And I was thinking, if he knows his family wants to go to Spain, and that's the most important thing for him at the moment is his family's wishes, and he wants to go to Spain, and his contract's up, then surely that would have been made his mind up, like Firmino and a lot of others. He would have literally gone round. He'd have announced it. He would have got an adulation on Saturday, and he would have been milking it. And the fact he didn't do that is a bit. I just find it strange, because what is he? If he wants to go to Spain, he's going to Spain, right? If he's not going to Spain, and he hasn't done that yet, then maybe he will stay. Because I'm thinking, would he not have done that before? I know not everyone has to do that, but I wasn't. When they brought the desk out on Saturday, I was kind of thinking, is he going to come out with a?
Is he playing a bit of a waiting game though? Because he's, like we say, he's 28. It's probably his last big deal that he can get out of his career. So is he waiting to see?
Would he not have from abroad? Would clubs abroad, in the same way that happened with Zamora, he's out of contract? Would that not already be on the table then?
Well, maybe, but maybe it's he's just playing a waiting game, seeing what else comes in.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering when they have one more year.
Because you never know. There might be a late bid from somebody that outweighs all the others, and you think, that actually ticks a lot of boxes. So
no, I get that.
We don't know. We're just sort of guessing at it. But like we've said, I'd be very disappointed if he went to a Palace or a West Ham.
I'd be underwhelmed at Palace. I'd be disappointed with Palace. I don't know about West Ham; they're a much bigger club. But Palace, I don't see that at all.
I'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of people are saying he's definitely gone. I think he's more likely to go, but I think it's maybe 60-40, 65-35. I don't think it's anything.
I think it's a very difficult decision for him, because he obviously loves the club. He loves the fan base.
He loves the area.
And you can see it's growing, right? You can see now. He
loves meeting Matt in wherever it was. In the restaurant.
The fact he stuck with us all these times when as I said, we were in the Championship under Max, and nothing really, no legacy off the pitch. He's now seeing a training ground being built. He can see that things are moving in the right direction, and the club's got the brightest future it ever has. So why wouldn't he? If he loves the area, if he generally loves the area, and his wife and kids are settled there, but I think it's us or Spain. I'd be surprised if he was anywhere else in England.
He's stuck by us, unlike Steve Hensman, who's decided to leave the stream because he doesn't want to see Jefferson Lerma go to Crystal Palace. I am really worried about that midfield, though, guys. I am really worried, because I think we've got clear vision that we know we need to fill some positions next season at fullback, both fullbacks. I think centre back, we look very, very comfortable. We've got enough in there with regards to keeping all the players if they all stay. Mepham's on a new contract, Zabani's a new player, Senesi's only 1 year in, Lloyd Kelly's probably likely to stay. I'm really worried about that midfield because I do agree with you, Aaron. I think Lewis Cook, I don't think it's going to happen now. I think he's had his injuries, he's had his loss of form, he'll have some good moments, but I don't think we can rely on Lewis Cook where we want the heights we want to go to potentially. Joe Rothwell has obviously been very, very influential for us at times in that purple patch in April. Gav Kilkenny is a massive question mark because his loans haven't quite worked out. Matt, what are we losing from Jeff Lerma that we need to replace? And it is probably going to cost us a lot of money.
Oh, we're losing a massive hole. We're losing a massive holding midfielder potentially that protects the back four, but one that is also versatile enough to give us some options and give us something going forward as well. It's somebody that breaks the play up doing it at a top level against top teams and against top midfielders with his physical strength, with the way he reads the game. His energy, the way he gets about the pitch, his tackling. You can't replace that overnight. You don't want to be held to ransom as a football club over it either, but it is going to be difficult to replace. I think, to be honest, we're already short in that area. I totally agree with you, boys. I questioned sending Ben Pearson out because I thought, well, blimey, we've only got, because Rothwell was not moulded into that style of footballer at the time. We've only got Lewis Cook in there who... Lewis Cook probably needs a fresh challenge now. He probably needs to go elsewhere to restart his career. I'm loath to say it because I love the guy and there's so much potential in the fella, but I just think he's come to the end of his career here at Bournemouth. So we're lacking a lot in that area, in that what I would call the number 6 role already, and it's the role probably Jeff performs the best and the best out of anybody we've got within our playing squad at the moment. So it would be a massive hole to fill in that midfield, along with probably one or two others that we'd need to bring in alongside it. We wouldn't just need one; we might need at least two.
Yeah, Steve, welcome back. We are talking about what
my phone overheated, which was really weird.
We are talking about what we're going to lose with Jefferson Lerma. Rob's talked here about fight, power, tenacity, loyalty.
Yeah.
Matthew Gale thinks he'll stay, and Matt, I hope you are absolutely
everyone wants him to stay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Steve, what are we going to lose if we lose Jeff Lerma? What are we going to lose from our side, and can we replace it easily?
It is that steel, that grit, that determination, that drive, that shithousery, if you like to put it that way. I mean, I do like him. He does keep me entertained with his antics on the pitch. I mean, even on Saturday, he was, giving Anthony a shove here and there, winding people up. I mean, you got to love Jeff for all that. I don't know. He's so combative. That's the thing. You always need one of your midfielders to be that combative player. We've had Ariata in the past. We had then Jefferson Lerma after him. And I think that's it. You need a ball winner in there, box-to-box ball winner who's going to get about people and put pressure on. And he does it very well. And like we've said, we totally miss him when he's not there. Goes hand in hand with quite a few of our losses in the Premier League in previous games, previous seasons. When Jeff's not on the pitch, there's just something missing, and we've not really got any. Well, I thought we may have had someone with Ben Pearson, but it wasn't quite. I don't think he was really close to Jeff's level. So you got to go and get out there and find yourself another one of those really real combative midfielder who's going to leave everything on the pitch every game, because you can't ever fault Jeff's effort.
Stu says his heading ability is second to none too. And Aaron, when I think about Jeff not being in this side and how I feel about potentially Gavin Kilkenny and Lewis Cook not being able to step up to this level week in, week out, I just can't think of a player off the top of my head that we can just go after and maybe tempt to come and fill the void. And I do feel we're also losing a professional. It's not just about the player, the ability he has. I would say he's on the similar lines of Andrew Sermon, how he conducts himself, wears his heart on his sleeve, like the guys have said. we're losing more than just what he can give us on the pitch. We're losing a guy that cares about the club, cares about the fans, gives photos to Matt in Barolos. This is a guy that is going to be really hard to replace.
Yeah, he's the heartbeat of the team for me. He's a cult hero. So not only is he got a massive loss on the pitch, a massive loss off the pitch. So it really is, it's going to be a really hard one to swallow and to get used to, because we miss him massively when he's not there. And those sort of players aren't that easy to replace. Like you'd like to think of someone like Basuma at Spurs, who hasn't really had much of a chance there. He's developed Brighton. Brighton don't need him anymore. That's the sort of player.
One that I thought about was it's just been relegated. Is that Lavia at Saints?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Potentially. I don't. Yeah, it wouldn't be an upgrade.
He's young. He's not quite. I don't think he's quite there yet. But he's got age on his side.
Potentially,
but we need to maybe go to the continent. Look, as I said, it's not the money side of it; it's just attracting the right sort of player and getting that player. But we should be able to fish in that market a bit more now. But yeah, like, massive loss. But he hasn't gone yet. Until he goes, he hasn't gone.
And if you're at Goodison Park on Saturday, sing his name loud and proud for 90 minutes. Maybe that will do it. I'm not sure. I hope it does. But look, you never know. You never know until it's a done deal, until he signs for another club. There's always a little bit of hope there, guys. It's been an interesting stream. We've had 40 plus people in with us most of the night. It's been great to speak with you. Let's finish off this stream positively. We've stayed up in the Premier League. We've had some great players, some great moments this season. Steve, if I was to come to you, player of the season, that was Jefferson Lerma with the Daily Echo and the Mickey Kaye.
Of course it's Jeff. Of course it's Jeff. Please say Jeff.
No, but let's be serious. Let's be genuine.
We love Jeff. He's been up there, to be fair.
He's been up there. Your player of the season, though?
It's a difficult one. If he'd have played more games, it would have been Tavernier, I think, for me, just for the impact he's had. But I don't think he's played enough, unfortunately, for me. Again, I think another shout is Rothwell. I think if he'd have played more games, he's really impacted a lot. And I think a lot of our turning fortunes of late have come with performances within him in our midfield. Neto's got a great shout for player of the season, but I just don't like giving it to a bloody goalkeeper. So I'm probably going to go with Senesi, I think, just because it's a little bit the centre back in me, but also the fact that it's his first season in the Premier League. And I thought at first he looked a little bit wobbly. I didn't think I'd rate him, but he's grown on me quite a lot. I know it's easy to say Billing because of his numbers, but I just, looking at it from a different point of view, I just think he's been quite fundamental. Him and Neto in the fact that we've kept ourselves in a few games, and Stevens to that matter. But I'm going to go Senesi.
Are you scouting for Pep, Steve?
For who?
Are you scouting for Pep?
I heard. Is this someone said that he might be on his way to Man City? Was that some sort of joke?
Yeah, clickbait, surely. Clickbait, surely. Matt, I'm going to go against Steve, although he makes some good points about Tavernier, because I think Marcus Tavernier is our player of the season. I think he was pivotal to us at times early on, playing in different positions, doing a team role. Then he came alive a few weeks before the end of the World Cup, and although we lost a few games, he was scoring goals and adding numbers, and scored in that Everton game, which was pivotal for Gary O'Neill in that 3-0 win before the World Cup. And then we come back from that, and although Tavernier had injuries, he got the winning goal at Wolves, he got the winning goal at Southampton, he came off the bench against Fulham to put in a Superman performance and turn that game around. And although I think Steve makes a fair point about his appearances, the team role, the massive goals he scored, him and Billing have effectively kept us in this Premier League, arguably. And I'm going to go for Tavernier as player of the season. What's yours?
Yeah, I'd go along with a lot of that, Kirk, but I'd take it back to, do you remember when we were all playing, boys, and you used to get different awards? You didn't just get player of the season, you used to get most improved player and all these sort of different awards. So
Clubman Award.
Yeah, that's it. Clubman of the Year, all this.
Basically, you brought the oranges along every week.
Yeah, you took the subs. So I'm going to go for Tavernier as most improved player. I think without a doubt he has been the most improved player. So I'm going to give him that award.
Are we doing a whole awards?
Hang on,
night
how
here?
do you know he's most improved? His first season.
Yeah, he's well from where he was at the start of the season to where he's ended it.
Okay, fair enough.
He's got to be most improved. The reason I won't give him player of the season, Kirk, is because he hasn't played enough games. His injury record has gone before him, so he ducks out. When I look at player of the year, I always look at a player that has affected things the most, the one that's come in and had maybe the most calming influence, or been where would we be without him. So on that basis, I'm going to go with Neto, because I was a doubter at the start of the season when he came in. I thought, what, reserve keeper from Barcelona? How much are we paying him? We've already got a decent keeper in Mark Travers. But it proved me wrong, because once he come in, not only has he come in and been a calming influence and made some crucial saves, he's a real character. He's got the captaincy. He's made the back four more assured. He's made us more assured. I wish he was a little bit more commanding. He can flap a bit in the box at times with crosses coming in. But I'm going to give it to Neto just for his overall influence on that squad and on that team throughout the course of the season, and of course his abilities and his experience. So for me, it's Neto. Tavernier would be most improved. Unlucky Phil Billing, I suppose, because he's made a major contribution, and a lot of others have as well.
Mark Davies is the GK Union.
I'm
sure Matt Davies was a fullback as well. Me and Matt.
I was a fullback, yeah. We disagree on Kiefer Moore, Mark. We disagree on Kiefer Moore, but Neto, I'm totally in agreement, mate.
Stu's going for Meps as Clubman of the Year. Meps was my player of the season after the World Cup. Now, Aaron, I don't think this guy will be in a Bournemouth shirt next year. This is coming in a future stream after the Everton game and during post-season. But Philip Billings' numbers, his goal against Liverpool, got a goal at Arsenal, although we lost that game. His goal against Nottingham Forest to turn that fixture around. He's had some brilliant moments for us. Look, there's some games where he does go hiding a little bit at times, I think, but he has been a fantastic player for us for more than one season now. Do I think he'll be in a Bournemouth shirt next season? I don't think he will. But is he your player of the season? Because Heather is holding out that you're going to pick Philip Billing.
I mean, if he's not there next season, we've lost two of our three midfielders, haven't we? Centre midfielders. So that's a massive problem. Although Traore can hopefully come in. As the others have said, Tavernier for me has been a huge influence when, got to a stage where there was like no Tav, no win. And that's kind of proven the case a lot, because you've got the winner at Wolves, you've got the winner at Southampton, you've got the winner at Fulham, and a few other games as well. He's got vital goals. But I think I'm just with Matt on hasn't just played enough games. We've got to keep him fit next year. That's key. I mean, we have to keep him fit. There's no point having a player like that if he just can't stay fit. Billing for me on his pure numbers and his moments has got to be up there. I think, it's obviously top goal scorer, a lot of assists as well. Occasionally he's looked as old, he's kind of gone back to some of his old bad ways, but that's been few and far between this season. I think generally he's really looked up for it. But sorry, Heather, he's just been pipped for me by Neto as well. I think Neto's made a huge influence. And again, I also doubted him. And again, it's no coincidence that our poorest runs of the season, no disrespect to Mark Travers, has been when Neto's been out.
Aaron, grassroots football, where did you play? Because I feel like I'm in a room of defenders here. What's going on?
Right back. Sorry.
See,
yeah, right back.
I need more.
But surely your argument for Tavernier and his numbers and how important it's been. If you said that, if you put that to Billing, and he's actually had the appearances to back it up as well.
Do you know what it is, though?
I quite happily give it to Billing. I quite happily give it to Billing.
I'm talking about Kirk's argument particularly.
Yeah. Do you know what it is, though? It's the moments. If you look at Billing's goals, apart from Forest and Liverpool, I think a lot of them have come in games where potentially it wasn't like match-winning moments, where I think Tavernier had the match-winning moments. Yes, of course, Billing got one against Liverpool. I can't remember all of Billing's 7 goals, I'm not going to lie. But I think it's also the versatility that Tavernier's had, Steve, that he has done a role at full-back.
That is one of Billing's
right
down.
back. I remember him. I remember when he couldn't cross a ball at the start of the season, but he was doing loads of other stuff for the team, and he was being played out of position. He was being tried in cam. He was being tried at left wing back, right wing back. And then he started to come alive just before the World Cup. Then he come back. Then he scored at Wolves, which was massive. I think that was Gary O'Neill's first win as permanent head coach. Fulham, let's be honest, we were crap first half against Fulham. He comes off the bench and scores a worldie. Southampton scores the winner. I mean, Tavernier just sticks out for those moments, but you're probably right in the conversation that Billings our top goal scorer. So,
yeah, I think I'd just like to say I like that comment from Rob Toy a minute ago. I do agree with that. Yeah, I think Solanke drops so deep nowadays that he could probably do that role if we got another goal scorer in.
Yeah, and I think we need a goal scorer. I think we need a goal scorer, and we definitely need a stream talking about the squad, who's going to be in next season, who's not going to be in next season, and positions we need to fill. Look, let's just finish up this stream, guys, with one game to go. Premier League football next season. We've been so close to 40 points. Steve, summarise the season, and are you feeling confident about the future?
I'll do the second part of that question because it's a lot easier. Absolutely, really buzzing for the future because there's a lot to be excited about. We're on a new adventure now with a new owner. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's exciting times. They're engaging with the fans. They seem to be trying things like Aaron spoke about before. Not all to my liking. Not sure if I'm a massive fan of rally fags or montage videos that are a bit cheesy, but hey. Some people love that sort of stuff, and it's all a bit of fun, I suppose. The season, though, has been, I would say, an absolute roller coaster. It's had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I mean, you can go from losing 1-0 at home to Saints to beating or the 9-0 to beating Spurs 3-2 away. We've had Scott Parker, who never didn't make very many friends here, shall we say. That was a sorry time for us. And Gary's had his good times and his bad times, but we got there in the end. And with all that said and done, hats off to him. And I don't know if he's the answer permanently moving forward. I think he's the only one who can show us whether he is or not, because he is the man learning on the job, as we've all said. He's got to move forward, and I don't necessarily think. I think he hasn't really discovered his identity yet, or our identity. And he's I feel like he's been reacting to whoever we've been playing, and that's why we've seen all this experimenting. But it's now he's earned the right to show us that he is the man. So again, that adds to the excitement of what's to come.
Matt, thanks for coming on this stream this evening. I'm sure you're going to also promote that the future looks bright. I know we've had 4 coaches now since Eddie Howe left in 3 seasons. And all I want for this club is for us to be structured, have a 3 or 5 year plan, whether that's Gary O'Neill, whether it's someone else, and that we can all get behind it. We can see what the strategy is. We can see what the plan is. We know there's going to be games that we lose. We're not going to win every week, but we lose the right way. We learn from losing, and we progress as a football team, and we try and get as close to mid-table next season. That's where I'm at. Are you feeling positive about the future and where we are as a football club?
Oh, massively. I don't think there's any Bournemouth fan really that can't be feeling positive about it overall because of the potential that we see. I think I've said it before. I just want us to improve off the field. I just want us to get this training ground finished so we've got a first class training facility for the future of our club. That foundation is in place so that we can start attracting more youngsters and developing players through a structured and a professional academy system. And also, I want us to improve we need a bigger stadium now. I want to see what our potential is. Can we fill a 25,000 seater stadium? Who knows? Maybe not. But let's go for it. Let's be more of a respected football club. Because at the moment, people just look at Bournemouth, look at their stadium, and think small clubs should be in League One or League Two. Get out of the league. Basically, I'm fed up with that tag that we've got about us. So I just want us to become more respected off the field in terms of our infrastructure and the stature and size of our football club. And on the field, I think we just need to carry on what we're doing. To sum up this season, I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. I'll say it again, let's not underestimate this club staying in this division, because at the start of the season, we were under-equipped. Scott Parker was right. He went about it totally the wrong way, as we all know, had no connection with the fan base, the board, anything, and talked his way out of a job, probably on purpose, whatever. We were under-equipped, and we still remain under-equipped. In the backroom staff, look at the inexperienced backroom staff compared to the experienced backroom staff that other clubs lower than us have got within their ranks. Tommy Elphick, Sean Cooper and Gary O'Neill, amongst others, all no experience in managerial or coaching at this level. They might have played it, but they got no experience. So, we didn't strengthen until January. So it is a minor miracle that we're in this league, and it's a phenomenal achievement. So I can only be absolutely thrilled and delighted with that. And Gary O'Neill, I'm just excited for what he can do in the future. I hope he is the right man. It's up to him, like Steve said, it's up to him to grasp the opportunity and make it his own. And he's responsible, like Aaron said earlier, about a divisive fan base and fans not cheering his name. It is up to him as well to make that connection. Scott Parker didn't make it. Jonathan Woodgate would have, but he was limited in other areas. Gary O'Neill has to strike a bit more of a connection, I think, and resonate a bit more with the average supporter and get them on side. And he'll do that by getting results, playing a decent brand of football, and improving as a manager, but also connecting with us as well as fans and being on our level a little bit. And he's got that to learn. I'm sure he will learn. Massively excited for the future in all aspects.
One game left to go, Aaron. Summarise your season. The training ground looks good. Future looks very, very good. And Aaron, next season will be our 7th Premier League season in 10? In the last decade? 7 Premier League seasons. And we can look at other clubs that have had just as many Premier League seasons come from where we've come from. Look at Brighton playing in Europe next year. It is possible if everything is in place and you have the ability to put that on the pitch. Everything's possible. It might take a bit of time, like Matt said, getting a stadium, but we just need to have the right plan and the right action, and we can achieve some great things. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. They're the yardstick. Brighton, Brentford. They're the teams we want to try and aspire to be. You don't get anyone talking about little old Brighton anymore. Who almost went out of the league a few years ago. We want to be in that bracket, and I think we now got the ability. And it's tremendously exciting, the potential of this club now, what we can do off the pitch, which I think is where we've been lacking severely, as everyone said. Get that training ground done, stadium, whether it's a new one or a refurbishment and an increase in capacity, etc. So, yeah, and looking forward to the summer transfer window, the sort of players we can add to the squad. So yeah, it's all very, very exciting. And as I said earlier, I think I summed up my feelings about the season, that it's job done. It's a great achievement staying in the Premier League. I think that was the be all and end all really this season, and we've done it. But we got to move forwards. We've got to. What was it? Never retreat, move forward. What was it? I can't remember what it is now.
No retreat, no surrender.
Always advance, never retreat.
Always advance, never retreat. And I think that's what we've got to do. And I think if we can bring all the fans with us and enjoy the football we're watching next year, which is what it's all about, then it's good times ahead for sure.
Good times ahead. Good times also coming this week. Well, a preview before the game on Sunday. Make sure you check it out. I think it's set for 8:30 on YouTube, our final preview of the season. So join us for that live. We'll have some guests on that. We'll also have some content for Everton. It's on a Sunday. We'll try and get some out. It's Bank Holiday Monday in the UK next week. So we'll try and get that reaction vlog, last final vlog of the season out for you as well. Special shout out to those monthly members and anyone who supports the channel. Thank you for all your support this season. Helps with these live streams, helps with us improving our equipment. Thank you to you and anyone who's donated throughout the season. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Simply hit the like button is just enough for us though. So do it now. And all those likes and those comments, we've loved every single one. Thank you, Steve. Really enjoyed tonight.
No problem, mate. Good to see you all again. Been too long.
Cheers, Matt. I'll see you at Goodison Park.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Always a pleasure to be on. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, looking forward to Sunday. Let's end the season with a bang.
Aaron, thank you very much as well. We've had some good days in the stadiums this year, so thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Safe journey up, boys, and yeah, I hope you don't get in too much of a scrap and behave yourselves on your night out.
Yeah.
So you're not going to do the Cherries Red Army like player or contributors awards? Who's contributor of the season?
That's putting me under pressure. That's for another night, because that's putting me under pressure and I need to think about it. So thanks for joining us on this live stream. We've talked about the final day. We'll see who gets relegated from Leeds, Leicester and Everton. 1 will stay up, 2 will go. And we've talked about Jeff Lerma. Let's hope he's in a Bournemouth shirt next season. Probably highly unlikely, but we'll cling on to a little bit of hope. Thank you to you, the fans. Have a good rest of the week. Make sure you join us on Thursday. And if you're checking out the Cherries on Sunday, get behind the team wherever you are in the world. And let's see if we can finish the season positively with maybe a win, hopefully getting to 40 points. But from me, Aaron, Matt and Steve on this stream, we'll see you on the next one. Up Cherries.
Up the Cherries.